is the filer information session known as FI-2 for March 16, 2022. This session is for designated filers. This is for people who previously filed their Form 700 on paper, and this year, yahoo, we are filing electronically. In today's session, we're going to be talking about a number of things, and we're going to be talking most about the Form 700 that is due April 1st, your annual, but we're also going to be talking about current events at the, for ballot measures. We're going to be talking about other areas of the law that apply to you in terms of compliance, and we're going to be showing you our revamped website, which is going to be your go-to source for all of the stuff that affects you, whether it's a filing or information that you want to learn about your statement of incompatible activities. We're going to be going over all of that today. In addition, there's going to be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation, and we have a deputy city attorney with us here to answer your general questions. It's Andrew Shen. Reminder that this is a recorded session, so any questions that you have, please keep them general, and we'll get started. All right, just a moment, please. All right, confirming, please, that you are seeing the San Francisco Ethics Commission presentation that we're about to start.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, let's take care of some housekeeping. Reminder, today's session is being recorded. The presentation slides and the recording will be available on our website at sfethics.org. Please remember, as attendees, your microphones are going to be automatically muted during this entire presentation. The attendee video is disabled, and during the Q&A segment, we'll give you instructions. The attendees are joining, who are joining on a computer or their laptop. If you want to ask a question, you're going to raise your hand to select the raise hand icon, and then please wait for the host, Ronald, to call on you. He'll call you by name and unmute your mic. And if you're joining by telephone, you'll be dialing 3. Now, don't worry, there's going to be instructions on the screen when we get to Q&A. And questions can always be submitted through the new Ethics Commission Form 700 support portal. We'll be demonstrating how to get to that. All right, here we go with the agenda. Now, this year's filer information session is going to have a different emphasis than the sessions have in the past, and that is because effective January 1, 22nd of this year, all the designated filers, that's all of you who used to file on paper, are going to be filing electronically. Today, we're going to start by highlighting our new revamped pages for city officers and employees. This is for you as the employees. That landing page that we're going to demo, it leads off with the state and local ethics and conflict of interest laws, post-employment restrictions, things that apply to you, how to seek guidance as to whether a matter is inconsistent or in conflict with your department's statement of incompatible activities. And we're going to talk about the annual Form 700 due April 1st. Then we're going to go to another section that is going to be so handy for you, and it's the page for information about the Form 700 Statement of Economic Interest. Here you'll learn about the law, what the code requirements are, the deadlines, and of course, this won't happen to you. What happens if you fail to file by the deadline? From there, you will be just one click away. We'll demo this. You'll just be one click away from the page just for Form 700 filers, and it's going to be what you need. It's going to have a link to how to request a password, how to log into NetFile, how to file an amendment, and answer questions about what you have to disclose. And then we'll show you at the very end, if that web page doesn't answer your questions, we'll show you how to access the Form 700 support portal to send a request through a ticketing system to ask us questions. And there are many of us. There are several of us who are answering questions. You want to use that support portal instead of an individual email because you will have multiple eyes on your question. And then lastly, we'll close with that Q&A session with assistance from our Deputy City Attorney, Andrew Shen. Let's jump in. First, we're going to start with an overview of the laws that apply to you generally. You can navigate on our website to the compliance link on the banner and go to a section for city officers and employees. Here you'll find information about the Form 700 Statement of Economic Interest, BEHESTED payments. We'll go over that notice that you got last night and your questions about, is it phishing and why does it apply to me? Why am I getting this? We'll go over it. Hang in there. We'll talk about links to gifts and travel, things that you need to know as an employee. And we'll review the Statement of Incompatible Activities. Your department heads just got an announcement recently from the executive director at the Ethics Commission. It went out on March 4th. We'll go over where you can find the Statement of Incompatible Activities, where it's posted in a public area in your office. If you're in the office, we'll go over that. Let's start. So for BEHESTED payments, you may be wondering about that email that you got last night. And why did it come from a no reply at netfile.com website? And you're thinking, is this for real? It is. And that is because there are changes to the BEHESTED payment laws that apply to all people who file a Form 700. Those changes were adopted unanimously by the Board of Supervisors in December 2021. And that ordinance amends the San Francisco Campaign and Governmental Conduct Code, and it prohibits elected officials and other officials specified in the law who file a Form 700 from soliciting BEHESTED payments from any person who's an interested party to them. Now we're going to go over the website because there's a lot of information to understand about the law and how it applies to you. But the upshot is the local BEHESTED payments requirement applies, that applied previously has been eliminated, and it now applies to any employee who files a Form 700. In general, an interested party is going to be a party, a participant, or an agent who has a matter before you, and it can be an administrative enforcement matter, a license, a permit, any entitlement for use before your board or commission or your department. Don't worry about memorizing this stuff. The information's on the website. We just want to bring this stuff to your attention. The website will also discuss who is exempted and what type of communication is a BEHESTED payment and over what time period does it apply. We'll be going over this. We'll also be showing you the conflict of interest rules. There are rules that apply to all members of boards and commissions, just FYI. You can also refer to information on the City Attorney's Good Government Guide and your department's Statement of Incompatible Activities. We're also going to demonstrate information compliance requirements that apply to you regarding gifts of travel, as a Form 700 filer, we want to remind you that some departments have statements of incompatible activities that impose even stricter rules on gifts from your vendors and contractors. In general, you want to think about the fact that it's never a good idea to accept gifts from any entity doing business with your department. Lastly, there are proposed amendments to strengthen the city's gift and ethics laws that are being considered, and the as amended commission regulations. There is the thought is that they will be placed on the November 22nd ballot, and the matter is agendized for discussion at the Ethics Commission's meeting this coming Friday, March 18th. The agenda is available on our website. Let me demo quickly what I was just describing to you and how to find that information. Confirmation, please, that you are seeing the Ethics Commission homepage.
Yes.
Excellent. On our banner, as Form 700 filers, your information can be found on the banner under Compliance. Go to City Officers, and here you will find on the navigation bar on the right information about the Form 700, information about behested payments, conflict of interest laws, gifts and travel. Complicated section. You don't have to remember the facts because you can look it up. You will also find citations to the law on this page, discussing who is affected and what is the rule. This site is here for you. It's comprehensive. Any questions that you have about your department's incompatible activities? There's information about it and where to look up your specific department's statement of incompatible activities. Information about how to request an advance written determination if you have anything to discuss related to your department's statement of incompatible activities. And information about post-employment and post-service restrictions. These are all areas of the law that apply to you as employees. The information is on our website. Jumping back to just the Form 700 issue that we're going to be discussing most today, there's a general section on the Form 700 Statement of Economic Interests. General information in these accordion pull-downs on the law. What is the code? You may have heard that we say, what is your disclosure category? There may be limits on what you are required to disclose. Please do not over disclose anything that you don't have to disclose. We can help you look up what you have to disclose, or you can look it up yourself under the Conflict of Interest Code. If you're wondering who files and when, it's on the accordion pull down. Information we hope you never need. What happens if you fail to file by the deadline, and how the enforcement actions are handled by the Ethics Commission. After you have that information, you're ready to file. You're one click away. On the right-hand navigation bar, go to the Form 700 Filers page. This is going to have important announcements about when to file. Many of you may have found our training by going to this link about the training. Here is how to file your Form 700. If you need a password, you can request it right here. How do you file? Here are the instructions. Oh, you have an amendment. It's right here as well. For those of you who have multiple positions, for example, you may be a designated filer, an employee in a department, but you may also be serving on a board or commission. You can combine your filings. You don't have to file two of them. You can combine them. There's instructions. You want to look up a Form 700. You can do that. There are instructions here. This is a great web page for the Form 700 filers. All right, let's go back to our presentation. That is a taste of our website. You can monkey around in here, play around, find things. You can also ask us questions through our support portal. Confirmation, please, that we're back at the presentation.
Yes.
Thank you. Reminder about that, the statement of incompatible activities. The information in those statements is provided by the department. And it is distributed annually. Again, the announcement was sent to the department heads by the Ethics Commission on March 4th. You should have received the notice and be able to look at the posting in a physical place in your office, and you should have received it electronically. There's information on our website about the regulations for explanations and examples should you need them. Let's begin with the Statement of Economic Interests, the Form 700. We're now going straight into the meat of this particular presentation. For those of you who haven't participated in one of these information sessions before, we're just going to start here with some background information. So the Annual Statement of Economic Interest Form 700, it's required to be filed by public officials and designated employees, that's you, throughout California every spring. It's also due within 30 days of you joining the city or assuming office, and within 30 days of you leaving your position. It provides transparency and it ensures accountability to the public in two different ways. It provides necessary information to the public about our financial interests, and it ensures that we are making decisions in the best interest of the public and not enhancing our own personal finances. That's why we're disclosing information about assets that we hold. It's also good for us to have this every year because it's a reminder to us of our conflicts of interest as we perform our jobs, so that we can abstain from making or participating in governmental decisions that are deemed conflicts of interest. Who files a Form 700? Just FYI, background, all elected officials, department heads, board members, and commissioners. Those individuals, they file with the Ethics Commission. The other group that files are designated employees, that's you. You file with your department using NetFile, and consultants also file. Just FYI, candidates of city elective officers are also required to file. They file with the Department of Elections after they've declared their candidacy. Again, information that you doesn't apply to you in practice, but we're providing it to you for your information so that you have a big picture of the responsibilities that all of us have to the public. This is a quick overview of the filing requirements and the due dates. Every person who files a Form 700 has 3 requirements. You file an assuming office Form 700 within 30 days of joining the city. And what you're doing is giving a look back of 12 months for your assets so that the public understands, as you're making decisions on behalf of the city, have you had any interest in the last year that would benefit you financially? Then, after you've been in office for an entire 12 months, you file an annual Form 700. You're here because you got a notice because you are filing an annual Form 700 due April 1st of this year. And similar to taxes, you're going to be reporting the assets you held in calendar year 2021. A leaving office is filed within 30 days of leaving. And say, for example, you plan on leaving the city's employment sometime in 2022. Your annual is going to cover what you held last year, and then your leaving office is going to pick up just the piece of 2022 that you're still working here. For those of you who joined the city in the last part of 2021, you should not have received a notice because you do not file an annual this year because you've already reported pretty much for the last 12 months. You don't file anything in terms of an annual until 2023. It's an exception. If you have any questions, submit it through the support portal or ask your filing officer. We can answer your questions. This is such a fun slide to be able to present because we can say that you're filing electronically. You're going to be using NetFile. You're going to complete and submit the form online by April 1st. We are not able to accept paper submissions, not the department, not the Ethics Commission, not the city or county. You must file electronically. Just as with the paper filings that you used to do, the Form 700s are filed electronically and made available online. Any member of the public going to the Ethics Commission's website and looking at the disclosures page and looking at your filings will see a Form 700 with limited redactions. Just as paper filings were available at the department unredacted, they are available online as well, and they are made available to the public on request at the Ethics Commission. Late filing and enforcement. Again, we hope to never have this discussion with you, but we want to make it very, very clear to you. There is no provision in the law to extend Form 700 due dates. None. If the deadline falls on a weekend or a holiday, the statement is due on the following business day. Late fees, state law, late fees of $10 per day up to $100 per required filing can be collected. Non-filers may be subject to disciplinary and or enforcement actions with potential fines of up to $5,000 per violation. We hope to never have this conversation with you. And this information, should you hear it, applies to board members and commissioners. And this involves the fact that there is a required disqualification for board members and commissioners that must be stated publicly if they fail to file. If you have to amend a Form 700 that was filed previously, it's fine. There's no deadline. Please file an amendment as soon as you become aware of an error or omission. Only the original filing can be amended, and you can do this online. When you do file online, only the amended pages and the new cover sheet will be visible, not the original filing. So anyone looking at your filings would have to look together at the original and the amendment to see what was changed. Anything can be amended, the current year or the prior year's filings. We're going to go over a quick overview of what the Form 700 and the schedules look like. Many of you have seen these on paper. When you look at these on NetFile, the screens are going to have the information to fill out. It's going to look like a different format than the Form 700, but once you are ready to review your draft, what's going to pop up is a PDF that looks like that good old familiar paper Form 700. I mentioned earlier the disclosure categories. They matter. They matter because they may only require disclosures of specific investments. Certain departments have specific limited disclosure requirements. There are links on our website to the law that talks about the limits. This is just a quick snapshot of the departments that do have limited disclosure requirements. Look them up, please. Just by way of background, the Conflict of Interest Code review is conducted every 2 years in even-numbered years, and it's conducted by the Clerk of the Board of Supervisors in conjunction with the Ethics Commission and the City Attorney's Office. The changes that are made to this code about which positions file and at what level, it requires a legislative process and it's subject to approval by the Board of Supervisors. The one that we're working with now became operative December 21st last year. For those of you who haven't seen what this looks like, there's information on our website about how to access the code. Once you access the code, you'll be able to look up the section for your own department. This particular screenshot shows the Ethics Commission. Once you look at the filing section, what you will see is a list of the positions that file a Form 700, and you'll be able to see what the disclosure category of that particular filer is. Just these general reminders before we move on. The reporting period for the April 1st, 2022 annual filing is January 1 through December 31, 2021. Your position and your disclosure category determines what you have to report. Keep this in mind. Your reportable financial interests include not only your own, but those of your spouse or partner, and it includes the interests of your dependent children. Right now, we're going to go over the cover page contents and the schedules, and then we're going to demonstrate for you how to access NetFile and what it looks like when you will be logging in. Your cover page is pre-filled with information provided by your department and entered with assistance from the Ethics Commission. Don't change anything here, please. If you have anything to change, please talk to your filing officer. What's on your account governs what appears on this form. It's important that they match. Your contact information is not personal. It's going to be most likely your department address and your department's telephone number. It's redacted online. It's available upon request, but it's non-personal information. There's a number of schedules that appear in a Form 700. If you are required to report, again, check your disclosure category. Your schedules will involve investments. Depends on whether or not you own more than 10% or less than 10% of the entity. You may also have to report interest in real property, not your home. You may have to report income, loans, and business positions held outside of the city. You may have gifts to report, and you may have a gift of travel and advance or reimbursement to report. Instructions for what to report on each of these schedules is in that file. It's also online. Quick overview on Schedule A1, which is for investments where you own less than 10% of the entity. You're going to report investments worth $2,000 or more, particularly stocks or bonds that you control, that you place a sell order for, a buy order for. You control them, you report it. Mutual funds are not in that category. They're managed by somebody else. Quick overview of Schedule A2, the other version of investments where you own more than 10% of that entity. You have to report your business ownership. If you have a client that was a source of income in that 1 year period of more than $10,000, you have to report it. Trust funds, any reportable item within the trust fund, not the entire one, but just the reportable items in the trust fund would be reported on Schedule A2. Schedule B, interest in real property. Report an interest of $2,000 or more in real property owned within the city. Your personal home is excluded. Within the city is defined as within 2 miles of property owned by the city. So for example, within 2 miles of the San Francisco International Airport, even though it's in San Mateo County, it's owned by the city, you'd report. You're going to report rental income from properties that are owned within the city, including your rental home if a portion is rented out. You're going to have to list your tenants' names depending on the level of income received. It's going to be $10,000 or more. But the tenants' names have to be reported, and they're not going to be redacted on paper filings. There's a line item for personal mortgages. They're not reportable if they are at rates available to the general public. Schedule C. This is for reporting income, loans, and business positions where you earned $500 or more. You don't have to report governmental salary, not stipends, not governmental salary, because that's already available to the public. You're going to report income from businesses and nonprofits, income from the sale of property, a home, a car, $500. That could be a bicycle in San Francisco. You're going to want to think about the sources of income and whether or not the entity conducts business in the city. That's what's reported. Pay attention to the instructions online because you don't want to have to double report business ownership as employment. You report one or the other, but those instructions are online. Just be aware. Don't double report, please. Schedule D, just 2 more here. Schedule D, income from gifts. You're reporting gifts of $50 or more. You're seeing the fact that I didn't remind myself successfully to change the date from 2021 to 2022 about reporting gifts from a single source of $520 in 2021. Your common exceptions for reporting gifts are gifts from family members and gifts of informational material. For example, if you go to a conference and everybody gets the same bag of swag. Last schedule, reporting income from gifts of travel. You don't need to report a gift from a family member here, and you don't need to report travel paid for by the city to carry out your job. Before we jump into filer support and resources, let me give you a quick demo of what NetFile looks like. And then we will get to Q&A because I can see that we are running up against the clock here. Let me take you back to the homepage because this is how you will access your Form 700. Go to the Ethics Commission homepage. Under Compliance, City Officers and Employees, Form 700, for filers. Click on e-file Form 700. Here, you will log into your account. Let me demonstrate mine. Let me filter quickly for mine because you will see only yours. So when you log in, you will see only your account. This tells me that I filed my Form 700 on January 28th, 2022. If you had something to file, it would be appearing under your filings to complete table. To log in, you will click on whatever you want to complete to select it, and then you would click Start Selected Documents. You'll follow the instructions online to move through your schedule. On the right will be resources that you'll find useful. Videos, documents about what to file and how, and information that will take you to the NetFile user homepage or information about how to change your email, which hopefully you will do, please, through your filing officer, or changing your password. NetFile will remember what you filed in the past, and you'll be able to amend what you filed in the past if need be. This is a repository for you. You don't have to keep your hard copies. It will be available online. Support and resources. This presentation will be available online for reference, but you can always ask your filing officer, apologies for this, your filing officer at your department for assistance. You can contact the Ethics Commission, preferably through the support portal. It will generate a ticket, so you will know the status of people who are helping you, and you can track communications. You can contact the Fair Political Practices Commission directly, or you can contact your deputy city attorney assigned to your department. Look at our information online and at the Fair Political Practices Commission.